Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well, and in today's video I'm going to recap and give my thoughts on episode 3 of Mystic Pop-Up Bar that was just released on Netflix today. Overall, I really liked the episode, and you get some pretty cute comedic scenes of the pop-up bar gang, that's what I'm going to call them, in action with some new powers in play as well as new characters, and overall it was very cute, comedic, and magical. So with that little teaser, let's get into what happens in the episode. We start off the episode with Wooju in the spirit world, filling up the liquor bottles, and this is when she meets Death for the first time, who we've seen already a few times in the last episode, but this is when he's a junior and she's preparing to go into the human world and get her 100,000 soul quota started. Because Death knows about how she never wants to help another human ever again, he asks if she'll be able to do this task. And she says she'll accomplish her task no matter what, even if she has to lie, cheat, steal, or use people, like someone we may know, to make it happen. With that, we are taken to the present day where Wooju, Manager Gwi, and Kang-bae are at the pop-up bar, dicing up some onions. And as they chat about what Kang-bae wants to do first after his affliction is gone, Wooju reminds him he has to help her complete her task first and tells him he needs to work on recruiting people to come to the bar. We then see him start doing this the next day at the grocery store by touching people coming into the customer service line, hearing what their issue is, and then giving them a coupon to the pop-up bar and telling them, come to this bar, the owner's really good to talk to, you get free drinks and food. The first few people Kang-bae brings in for Wooju don't meet the criteria, and after being berated a bit by Wooju, they have a sit down to explain who he should be recruiting, what they're looking for in regards to what a grudge really is, and things like weight loss isn't really something that they can help with, because that's one of the people that comes in is somebody who just wants to lose weight, and because that's apparently like a willpower thing and not something that's a grudge or has been done to them by someone else, they can't really help with that. It doesn't count anyway in regards to helping the 100,000 souls. This is when we are introduced to this episode's customer, who we see outside of the Sangi hotel where he's trying to get in to speak with HR, but the staff won't let him in. Just then, the chairman of the hotel, who we see later in the episode was one of the people that interviewed him for the position, drive up with his bodyguard. That's the reason he's wanting to see HR, by the way, is he obviously was applying for a job there and didn't get it. Bong J tries to speak with the chairman, but is intercepted by his bodyguard and wrestled to the ground. Poor freaking guy. Meanwhile, Wooju and Manager Gwi are shopping for supplies at the grocery store and run into Kang-bae's coworker who they helped in the first episode. They have their little greetings and whatnot, and this is where Wooju is reminded that companies are finishing up their recruitment process and sending out acceptance and rejection emails and texts, and that means there are going to be some sad people out that night needing a drink and someone to talk to, which is perfect. And they get ready for visitors at the bar, and as if it was meant to be, and after she explains everything, that's when Bong J enters the tent, and after ordering some soju and receives some spicy octopus, he starts crying, and Wooju tells Kang-bae to touch him so that they can find out what his problem is. He tells the story about how he graduated with a hotel management degree and had been working to be hired by the Sangi Hotel for the last 3 years, and he has just been rejected again for the job and doesn't understand why, since he felt like he aced the test and the interview. We also hear about him and his girlfriend, their relationship, and the struggle he'd recently been having due to him still not having a job. Like, he has a part-time job, but he can't pay his rent, and he can't take his girlfriend out. For example, his girlfriend wants to go to a popular restaurant for spicy octopus, but when he sees how much it is and he knows he can't afford it, instead of saying that, he pretends he has a stomach ache as an excuse not to eat there. You know, you can't eat something spicy when your tummy hurts. He then runs into an acquaintance of his from a study group he was in 3 years ago, and that person's girlfriend. And this guy has obviously gotten a job. He's wearing a nice suit and whatnot. And when he invites Bong J and his girlfriend to eat with them, his girlfriend lies for him, saying they already ate, so it's not awkward for Bong J. She definitely knows that it would be awkward for him to have dinner with them when this guy's obviously doing well and he's still struggling to get a job. Everything just kind of piles up on top of this poor guy. Not only does he find out he doesn't get the job, but he's later confronted by his girlfriend's mother, asking him to dump her daughter since she kind of feels like he's a good guy, but he can't get a job, and he's sort of wasting his girlfriend's best years on someone who's not going to be successful, not be able to marry her and give her children and give her the life that she deserves. So her mother goes to him and asks him to dump her. So after this request from his girlfriend's mother and getting the latest rejection text from the hotel, and because of this he's feeling so down, he really feels bad for his girlfriend and putting her through this, he then takes her to that spicy octopus restaurant and breaks up with her. And what makes matters worse is after breaking up with her and he heads back to his apartment, he finds out that she had dropped by the day before and paid his rent that he owed, as well as I think that month's rent. So it's like she's so understanding and so sweet and helpful and obviously loves him, and he just broke up with her. So he's obviously feeling very, very down. After telling his story, he says his wish is he just wants to know why he wasn't hired so he can do better next time. And with that, he's given the afterlife water to drink, and Manager Gwi, Woo-ju, and Kang-bae go into his dream where they relive his interview to see what happens. They come to find out that it wasn't actually due to his qualifications. He did an amazing job at the interview. He obviously knows his stuff, but apparently the chairman and those in the hiring positions were only hiring people who were related to someone that was influential, or, you know, like they knew politicians and the politician's kid needed a job. We see one of the other applicants who does a really bad job at the interview. When the customer comes out of the dream, they then show him, look, this guy who was interviewed with you got the job. Oh, but it looks like he's the mayor's son or he's some politician's kid. Like he's got a father that is in a higher up position. And, you know, that just kind of makes matters worse because that means he wasn't hired because of something he did really. Like, he was qualified, he just doesn't have the connections, and there's nothing he can do about that. After finding this out, Woo-ju can't let this injustice go since she remembers how it feels to be disregarded due to status. We see that before she hung herself from the sacred tree, she had tried to go to a lord in her town to ask for help to get justice for her mother being murdered and her house being burned. And he couldn't give two shits about her mother, especially since she was just a shaman, a low-born, low-status type person. Since she knows what it's like to be overlooked because of no connections, she decides to exact justice and reveal what the chairman was doing. And the manager is on board with this, so they put that plan into action. While this is going on, we see the bodyguard from earlier asking her boss if she can be transferred to someone else to work with, since the chairman isn't really a good person and her skills are being wasted working for him. But of course her boss says no, and to tell her to just do her job since she's being paid really well for it. And even though she's being paid really well for it, obviously she can't afford to break the contract, so she just gets back to work. We then see the pop-up bar gang go into action to expose the chairman. Woo-ju goes to where he's eating lunch and, disguised as a waitress using her feminine wiles, offers him a drink on the house and slips him some of the afterlife water. While that's going on, Manager Gwi and Kang-bae break into his office by Gwi shifting himself to look like the chairman, and Kang-bae is his new bodyguard. And they just sort of walk through the doors and go up to the office. They almost get caught a little bit in the elevator because you don't find out that Gwi is looking like the chairman until they get upstairs. But when they're in the elevator, the woman who's in there with them is like, why does it smell like onions in here? I didn't actually catch on to that tell until they got into the chairman's office, where we then see Gwi shift back into his true form from looking like the chairman. So that was interesting. I guess he can shapeshift. So in the chairman's dream, after he's drank the drink, Woo-ju looks like his bodyguard and tells him his office has been broken into and they may be after the VIP list. Those are the influential people he's been helping, and apparently he has a list of them all and what he's done to help them on a little flash drive that he keeps hidden in his office. Woo-ju is able to see that it's in a flash drive hidden in a book, but before she can see the title of the book, his bodyguard in the living room starts to try to wake him up, which causes the entire room to shake in his dream. Woo-ju tries to stop her but fails, and before he can fully wake up, she leaves to call Manager Gwi and let them know where to look for the flash drive and that they need to hurry. After searching through all the books, they find the flash drive, but it's a little too late as the guards and the chairman barge into his office. Kang-bae hides behind the door as Manager Gwi quickly gives up and then tries to escape. And as they're chasing after Gwi, the chairman's bodyguard sees Kang-bae's reflection and waits for him to try and leave the office and then attacks. Basically by busting open the doors, surprising him, yada yada yada. Trying to get away and keep the drive, Kang-bae ends up trying to use his abilities to get away, but when he goes to touch her by pulling her down on top of him, nothing happens. He's touching her all over and is like, "It's okay, you can tell me." And she's just like, "Dude, get off me. Like, I'm trying to arrest you," basically. As she's about to call him in, he stops her by telling her the truth about what's going on, about the flash drive and how the chairman is only hiring those connected to influential people, not giving those who are actually qualified a chance. And after hearing this, the bodyguard decides to help Kang-bae instead of taking him in. She releases him and gives him her badge to use so that he can exit the side door to get out. And there he meets up with Gwi and Woo-ju, and they speed away with the evidence, which they then leak later, and we see the chairman watching on the news. After he gets out, we see the chairman meet with some other influential people who seem to be politicians and some other type of higher up things. And he asks them to help him cover it up, since he's helped them in the past as well. They agree, and one of them makes a call to have the story be covered up and that it's not true, and it was just a rumor spread by someone who hadn't been hired to work at the hotel, and they were just pissed off about it, and so they said what they said. However, it seems that Manager Gwi was undercover again as a female server, and the pop-up bar crew had bugged the room because right after this, they take the footage of what just happened and leak it to the news, where it's all over for the chairman and the others in the room with them. Like, within 5 minutes of that conversation, it's on the news. After this, their customer, Bong J, gets a call from HR from the hotel telling him that after everything that's going on, they took another look at his scores, and since he had the highest score, they want to hire him immediately without any further interviews or requirements. So, yay, he got the job! In the end, he got the job, and we see him at the Spicy Octopus restaurant with his girlfriend eating together like she had wanted to do earlier on. And this episode overall, justice was served and their customer's grudge was resolved. Pa-pam! Another one on the board, y'all. After this, the team go back to the pop-up bar to celebrate, where Kang-bae realizes he still has the bodyguard's badge and feels like he needs to get it back to her, but isn't sure how, since it's probably not a good idea for him to go back to the hotel after everything that went down. He also tells the manager and Woo-ju about how the guard was able to touch him and she didn't spill her guts to him. And Manager Gwi thinks that maybe she just doesn't have any issues that she needs to share. I highly doubt that, since, you know, it seems like every person that touched him has had something to say, even if it's minor, but who knows. Meanwhile, it seems that the bodyguard is friends with Kang-bae's coworker, Miran, and we find out through their conversation at a bar that apparently Yi-rin was fired because of what she did at the hotel. They saw what she did on CCTV footage and they let her go. So now she's looking for a new job, but it can't be as a bodyguard anymore since she's on the blacklist for what she did. But it seems that she does find a job, and it's at the store where her friend and Kang-bae work at. We end the episode with Kang-bae dealing with an irate customer that almost turns physical, but Yoo-rin steps in and helps since it seems she's now working there as security. So it all works out in the end. And that's how they end the episode. I thought the episode was super cute, and I love a good happy ending, and I could totally relate to the story and issues that the customer was dealing with, especially right now. I mean, the reason I'm home all the time doing these recaps is because I am also looking for a new job. I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there watching this going through the same thing. So if you're wanting some relatable content, this is definitely a good one. I also really loved Manager Gwi in this and how he's sort of taking Kang-bae under his wing. And I mean, Woo-ju can do no wrong. She's feisty, she's beautiful. Even though she says she doesn't care about these people, she obviously wanted justice to be served. I think she's learning some lessons here as well, and even though there's only so many souls left to help, I think at the end of this, thanks to Kang-bae, she's gonna want to help humanity again. Who knows? But overall, very cute episode. I guess that the series is going to be very similar to this, where each episode there's going to be a customer and they're going to have to resolve an issue, and within that we'll find out a little more about Woo-ju, and hopefully Kang-bae will get a girlfriend at the end. I mean, he now has technically 2 women that he can touch. And with that, that is the end of my recap and thoughts of Mystic Pop-Up Bar episode 3. Look out for the next recap, I think coming tomorrow, since this is a Wednesday, Thursday airing. And then after that, we have the King, Eternal Monarch. So until then, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe for more recaps, and I'll see you soon. Bye. You feel ready? Hello, everyone. What's my teeth? Pop-up target. Meanwhile, Woo-ju and Manager Gwi are shopping for... let's get to that. There was totally a fly that flew in. We're going to move on.